This, my friends, is America. The flag, the Bible, a weapon, and man's first tool. It's amazing to me that there's still people out there who argue against Christianity. I'm the first to say that there's a lot of problems with Christianity, but I know more than one atheist who understands that Christianity is the fundamental idea we must believe in order for a country to be civilized. And very simply because there have been no other civilized countries. Other than now, there's some, I guess you could say, Japan and stuff, but they've copied us. The Enlightenment was brought to Christianity, and it's the best thing to give people a universal belief in morals and ethics. They all come from the Bible. All morals and ethics come. There's no one else there's no other foundation that we can go back to where it's written. You know, maybe you go back to Buddhism or whatever, but still, it directly goes back to the Bible pretty much. And the point I'm making is this is not an argument about the Bible. This is arguing about America. This is telling us what our problems are. You know, we're not a democracy because all the things that Americans care about are not what's being done, and we forget that. Very few Americans believe that we should have an open border allowing tens of millions of illegals in every. Nobody, even the most liberal Democrat voter, does not believe that we should do what we're doing, but we're still doing it. Why? Because the elitists and their donors want it. Texas could shut down the border. Arizona could shut down the border. They don't need the U.S. government. They could stop it because it's breaking the law of the land, and they have the right to enforce that law. So all the crap that Abbott tells us, or the governor of New Mexico or Arizona, they're all lying. They're all about their donors. If they wouldn't be, they'd go down there and shut it off. It is incumbent, it's the American people's duty to do it. We've got us in such a pickle, though, that we have no more power. We don't have militia anymore that we can accomplish anything. So now we are totally 100% debased to groveling and begging. Other than what we could do, we all have the power to do it, and that's shut the country down tighter than a tick, which is better than violence. Anyway, violence is a terrible, terrible solution to anything. The only time you should ever have a war is when you have people who are taking your freedom from you and forcing you to lick their boots, which is exactly what our government is doing, but we're still not there. I mean, it may come to a war, but I'm not the one promoting a war, because even though, I mean, one of the biggest affronts to American democracy and the freedom of speech is the fact that you could be charged for inciting violence. You can never keep a government in line. You can never, people have no power without the threat of violence. Everything is based off the threat of violence. The only thing that keeps me and a random stranger, man who I do not know, keeps us civil, if it's all stripped away, politeness, religion, friendship, once it's all stripped away, there's only one thing, and that's our ability for mayhem, the threat of violence. That's just the way the world works. But if you go look at all the major issues in America, immigration, the economy, voting, religion, all of these things are not being done. I mean, what they've done is they've effectively pitted the right and the left against each other, and that's not the enemy. The enemy is not the right and the left. There is no right and left. There is no liberal or conservative party. They've both been hijacked. The liberal party worse because it was easier to hijack them. Liberal and conservatism is just a personality trait. Liberals are higher in openness and creativeness and lower they're lower in conscientiousness. And a conservative is the opposite. High in conscientiousness and orderliness, low in openness and creativeness. And there's the two things they've been since the beginning of time. These two sides have worked together. And that's not what the argument is anymore, whether you're creative or open. The argument is whether you're a totalitarian or not, whether you believe in free speech or not. Do you believe in free speech? Do you believe in free and open trade between the states? Do we believe in our economy No, everything is regulated by the government for their benefit. We have allowed ourselves, because we were doing so well for so many years, for 50 plus years, 60, 70 years, good people just put their heads down and went to work. That's all they cared about. And that's just the cycle of mankind. But now the time has come. We have lived long enough. Whoever's alive today and is listening to this is old enough. You've had your fun, buddy. You've had your fun. You had your wealth. You had your opportunity. And it's over now. And now is the time to fight. And it's not physical yet, but the time has come to drop your hobbies and your football and whatever you're doing. I'm not saying totally, but and go to work politically. You must talk to the other side. You must talk to the left or right, whichever side you're on. And we must realize the war is not between us. We really don't believe that different. You cannot grow up in America and believe that different. It's just them lying to us and pitting us against each other and creating issues out of no issues. That is such a deep subject that I'm not going to go into it right now. It's very deep and difficult to explain to someone how the right and the left are not that far apart, because it seems like we are. But they have convinced us both that the other side is trying to hurt the other side. The left believes we hate all people who want abortions, all gays, lesbians, and transgenders. We hate them and we wish them harm. We believe they want to destroy our country at all costs. It's a very simple, easy thing to believe because that's what it looks like. But it's not the truth. The people are not that far apart. It is the media more than anything else. Yes, it is the elitists and the governments and the bureaucrats who are pushing this, but they could not do it without the mouthpiece of the media. The media is really who our enemy is. I mean, the fact that we're having discussions about free speech is just unbelievable. It shows that we're at the end. 50 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, that would never have come up. This issue of free speech on social media, what you can say and what you can't say. It would have never come up. It wouldn't have even been thought about. When I was a kid, the AACP supported neo-Nazis and KKK and allowed them to talk, and they protected their free speech. They would never do that now because they're not free speech advocates. You know, Berkeley was the birth of free speech. It was a place where free speech was born. Leftists used to fight and rally at Berkeley for the right of free speech. And now, in 2017 and 18, there was the battles of Berkeley between left and right fighting over free speech again. And now the left was against it. But the people on the left, our people, daily people that you see out on the streets, they're not against free speech. Very few of them are really against free speech. They're just against us because they have so effectively pitted us against each other. I just want to say this, guys. I want to say this is America right here. If you do not have the right to defend your own life, you have nothing. That is the only God-given right. If you give that up, then you should not fight for anything else. Once you've given up the right to defend yourself, which is the only way you can legitimately defend yourself, is with a gun. Once you've given up that right, we should not fight for anything else. It's over. And we need to fight for that back, which we've not lost it yet, but I'm just saying, that is the fundamental, end-all, be-all freedom. The only God-given right is to protect yourself. And that means you have the right to go down in a blaze of glory with brass around you, smoke belching from your weapon, blood dripping from your blade. You have that right to die honorably. And then everything else is based off of that. And we've got to get back to the fundamentals. That's not promoting violence. That's just saying it's your religion, your right to defend yourself, and man's first weapon right there. I mean, first tool, which is the knife. Without that, we have nothing. And no one's fighting against knives, but they will in Europe. They do, you know. But I'm just getting back to the point. I'm just trying to tell people, listen, we must. I couldn't sleep tonight, and that's why I'm up doing this video. But we must realize the war is not between the left and right. We are not that far apart. This war is between the elite and the media and the people. And our biggest enemy is not even the elite, because they have no power if you pull their teeth, which is the media. The media soundbites the ignorant to death. And we need to shut the media down so tight that they'll never be heard from again. And when this is all over, there's going to have to be some punishments. I'm not judge, jury, and executioner, but there will have to be some punishments. And I'm just telling people, get ready to fight. Fight, not physically yet, but we're not promoting that. People go on, whatever. That's ridiculous. We all know that is not an option. What's an option is to fight with our dollars. We could shut this country down tomorrow. If nobody went to work for 3 weeks, we'd change this whole deal. But we need organization, we need a leader, and we need someone who will stand, and they can't touch. And I encourage you, this is a war. Rally behind the Virginians, as in the Civil War, Stonewall Jackson. Colonel B rode off the hill and he said, prepare to die so we can conquer. There stands Jackson like a stone wall, rally behind the Virginians. And we need to stand like a stone wall, friends. This is a war.